Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Roslyn. Welcome, Adedayo. So we would like to begin this panel session. And first and foremost, I would like for us to introduce ourselves to everybody. So, Roslyn, if you'd mind to, introduce yourself.
All right. Thank you very much. So I'm currently the Director of User Acquisitions and Growth at Pesabase, and Pesabase is a financial service that's envisioning to connect Africa financially. We are built on blockchain, particularly the Silo protocol, for those who may want to research further on that. And I'm really excited to be part of this campus hackathon, support ideas, and I really love everyone who's participating to encourage us participating to ask questions, participate in the chat section. Let's make this as interactive as possible.
Adedayo, can you please introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Adedayo Adibaju. I am currently the Managing Director for ABI AfricaDLT, which basically is just a blockchain software consultancy firm based in Nigeria, but with our team members across some African countries, Ghana, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Kenya, of course, and South Africa as well. So basically what we do at AfricaDLT is provide blockchain solutions to both startups, existing organizations, and anybody who deemed it necessary to implement blockchain solution into their already existing solutions. So yes, I've been a couple of years on the space, and of course, Roslyn is also a very good friend of mine. And it's also very lovely to be here. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So, Roslyn, I'll be directing my first question to you. And what does the blockchain ecosystem, what does it mean? When I tell somebody that, the blockchain is an ecosystem, what does it mean?
All right, so I'll begin by breaking it down to define blockchain first, then the ecosystem. So blockchain is basically a distributed ledger, a set of records. And if you're looking for the simplest definition possible, then you can call a blockchain a list. And that's really where, some of these ideas become complicated, because people are wondering, is it a cryptocurrency? Is it, going to disrupt everything? And, people really wonder, what are people talking about when you hear about disruption, technology, future, industries, and so many other terms associated with it. But the fact is that a blockchain is a list. And now to break it down further, it's a distributed ledger. Now, how that works is that you have a system of validators that are using an algorithm to confirm transactions. And once these transactions are confirmed, then they're added to that list of blocks which contain literally a history of transactions. And you can't tamper with any of the previous entries or a current entry. Now, the fact that this technology is tamper-proof is what people are looking at as the potential of the future of how we do record keeping, accountability, tracking information, tracking data. And when you consider the issues to do with fraud and identity theft and just tampering of basic records even within a company's balance sheets, then you can see why this technology is so important. Now, in considering the ecosystem that connects the technology that's related to this, you need to consider the people who are at the forefront of building infrastructure which is connected to or powered by this technology. So you have developers who are building solutions, that is technical apps or decentralized apps or dApps, if you would prefer to call them that. Consider policymakers who are to create enabling frameworks so that you can have cross-border collaboration or even within a specific country's collaboration, because you do have countries presently around the world that are both for and not necessarily supportive of this technology. You have definitely entrepreneurs and companies which are setting up to build upon specific use cases. This is because innovation tends to go ahead of regulation in so many cases. So you as an entrepreneur today who are participating in the hackathon are going to have an idea for a project, but your part in seeing the idea is not necessarily you to build that company to its fullest extent. Sometimes it's that your solution will fit better into a corporate structure that will give you the skill in the longer term. So you as an entrepreneur, you as a builder, policy makers, and really each party which is going to contribute to the growth of this ecosystem is now what I would refer to as the global blockchain ecosystem. This ecosystem, key to mention, is at its very early stages. So this is the best time literally to learn, to collaborate, and to explore what possibilities are there, because blockchain's full potential is still in development right now. There's so many technical challenges to be overcome, milestones to be made, and really I would say that we're in the best time in terms of the blockchain ecosystem's history. Thank you.
Okay, you said something that really caught my attention. You said innovation goes ahead of this regulations. So we're going to come back to that. But as students, do you think that it is important to be in the blockchain ecosystem?
Yes, absolutely. Because for myself personally, I would say that I joined in, or I ventured within the blockchain ecosystem, not even intentionally because I was looking for blockchain, but I was at the time, 2017, I was looking to actually get into a master's degree program. And my intention at the time was that what was on my mind was that cybersecurity was becoming such a huge concern and very few people are talking about it. And asked myself, if we don't, if we don't build awareness, for instance, on data culture, data privacy, data protection, then we're literally sitting ducks for, hundreds of hackers out there who will take down systems just on a few clicks, So that was the thought process for me behind that. That's the context in which I got to learn about blockchain technology, and I was like, wow, I mean, this tech holds some really awesome potential towards cybersecurity. So the opportunities that I got after that then really opened up my mind to a lot of things, and I even abandoned not really abandoned, but just kind of moved away from the pursuit of the data science masters at the time. So I would say, if you're a student right now, you have that leeway, you have the time to experiment, you have the chance to literally find out what would work for you, what you can build with, and you don't have to look at it as you're looking to get a job. No, you can literally build something that will go beyond you, and even if it doesn't work out as something that you're anticipating right now, it will give you the skills to leverage on that for other opportunities in future.
Right, thank you very much. And so since currently innovation has already gone ahead of regulations, what do you think the landscape is when it comes to regulation of the blockchain?
Right. So with regulation, it's that you have different initiatives and different stages. With Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, and Uganda especially, they've really gone ahead of so many countries in terms of the frameworks that they've set in place. And what I would say right now is that we don't have like a uniform standard for all of Africa. So it's both a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing in the sense that each of these countries which are pioneering then can collaborate and share the knowledge. It's only negative in the sense that, for especially investment frameworks that are looking to onboard mass market kind of approaches or business models, then it's a bit challenging for them, because they'd have to probably rely on another nation's policies or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Adedayo, so since Junaria has been founded, what kind of contribution is Junaria making to the blockchain ecosystem?
Okay, so I'll just correct you a little bit on that. It's pronounced Gelorida. Okay, so Gelorida basically is a Switzerland-based blockchain software company. So I joined Gelorida about 3 years ago. Then a year after I joined the team, we decided to establish the African entity, which is Gelorida AfricaDLT. So ever since I joined the company, we've done a couple of activities in Nigeria, which is talking about campus blockchain hackathons within the country to educate university undergraduates. And of course, aside from that, we've also hosted several meetups, because one thing we discover is that there is this shortage of experience, of knowledge in terms of blockchain. It's kind of surprising when you visit some universities as well, and you notice that even their HODs in the IT department, they aren't aware of what a blockchain is. I mean, then you kind of imagine what kind of future we are painting for our students, or probably for the younger generations. So we decided to intensify more efforts on educating people in terms of blockchain technology and perhaps other fourth industrial revolution technology. And also, as part of doing this, we also started what we call the Africa Blockchain Developers Call Series. This is something we started during the pandemic because we saw an opportunity to educate people while they're at home. Unlike trying to chase them up and down when they are currently entangled with their business activities or probably with their education. So we decided to start the Africa Blockchain Developers Call Series, which is a 3-month program. Basically, over the weekend, what we do is we bring top speakers, keynote speakers, experienced people in the blockchain space, already existing blockchain solution providers. So we bring them in over the weekend to educate the people. And of course, during the weekdays, we do what we call the boot camp, where we gather a lot of students, undergraduates who are interested in knowing what the blockchain is, and of course, tutor them and teach them on how to deploy blockchain solutions. So these, and of course, we also interact or liaise with existing both the private and the public sectors on what the blockchain is and how they can deploy a lot of solutions, and we tend to pitch some solutions to them as well. So this basically is a summary of what we've been able to do in the space in Africa as a whole.
Okay, thank you. So my second question is, do you see a future in the blockchain ecosystem in Africa? And if you see a future in the blockchain ecosystem in Africa, what kind of future do you see?
Well, the answer to the question is yes. But then, of course, you ask me to explain that what exactly have I seen? Well, that is, let me take you back a little bit on the history. When I joined the blockchain ecosystem or the blockchain space, I joined as a support specialist for Poloniex. That was about 4 years ago. Then it was all about the money. I mean, I was clocking in hours, and being the fact that I wasn't restricted in the amount of hours I can clock in, so I can work 16 hours every single day. But then eventually I got to know more about the technology. Okay, so which is when I joined Jellybeater, the Switzerland-based company. Then I saw a whole lot of loops or gaps or voids that can be filled with the technology in Africa, because I stay in Nigeria and I see a lot of things going on wrong every single day in terms of corruption and a lot of voids that blockchain technology can solve. So I decided to join the Switzerland-based company to see how we can solve most of these problems in Africa. Then, of course, we ventured further into the Jellybeater AfricaDLT. So we started pitching a lot of solutions to both the private and the public sector. Then during the pandemic, we saw a whole lot of things again that can actually be solved. Okay, so we decided to bring together a lot of people, because the merrier, the better. If it's just a couple of people who are preaching adoption of blockchain technology to a vast amount of people, you can imagine the kind of ground we'll cover. But if you have a lot of people who know more about the technology, who you can make to believe so much about the technology, then you tend to cover more grounds. So right now we've been able to establish our presence in Rwanda, Tanzania, Ghana, Kenya, and we still expanded. So we did this through Decentralized Africa, the media platforms, the ABDC series, and of course Jellybeater Africa, and of course in partnership with the Africa Blockchain Institute. So in terms of the future I see for the blockchain technology in Africa, let me tell you about one of the solutions that was currently in deployment through the ABDC series we held last year. We have the MV Ledger, which is the multi-vehicle ledger. So this solution was brought about by one of the applicants to the bootcamp. He's based in South Africa. Then he based on personal experience, the amount of theft of motor vehicles in South Africa is always on the increase, always on the rise. And this is also the same thing applicable to most African countries. And if you look at the already existing ledger that people register their motor vehicles on, it has a lot of voids, a lot of errors. I mean, people can't actually trace these motor vehicles to the original owner. Now, the solution that is being brought forward by the MV Ledger is it enables every single purchaser of any vehicle to know the history of the ownership of these vehicles. Now, it's not only limited to vehicles only, it's limited to every single thing you're purchasing, be it the houses, be it jewelry, be it electronics, every single thing. So at least you know the seller of this particular product is the original owner of it. Now, this is not limited to just these areas only. We're talking about voting on the blockchain. We're talking about tokenizing assets on the blockchain, making it easy for people to invest. And now, look at Africa as a whole. We're talking about creating job opportunities for people, talking about creating more investment opportunities for people, talking about making things easy, more transparent. Then what other platform do you talk about to make this easy for people to do, if not the blockchain technology platforms? So For me, there is this particular motto, or probably saying that I'm very conversant with, which is blockchain technology is meant for Africans. But which is why I'm proud of platforms like this, which enables Africans to develop solutions for Africa to be consumed. Because we understand our problems, we understand where we are coming from, and we know exactly what we want. We have this vivid imagination, the picture of the Africa that we want in the future. So we can easily decide to create solutions to solve these problems so that we can get to the future that Africa really deserves. So that's the future I see for blockchain in Africa.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to welcome Lavinia and Cedric. Welcome. So I think I would direct my next question to Lavinia. How did you begin your journey in the blockchain ecosystem?
Okay, good morning, everyone. So my journey began because my background, and I still do this, is a financial well-being coach. So talking to people about their relationship with money, how they see it, how they feel about it, how they speak about it. And when you talk about money, you have to understand the past, the present, and the future. Because how can you give people guidance on their money and the things that they're able to do with it if you don't understand the ecosystem of money and the evolution, more importantly, of money? So on that journey, I was introduced to Bitcoin, of course, and didn't really understand it at the time. So, we're going back to 2013, 2014. And at that time, the platforms weren't as sophisticated as they are now. And I started hearing about it, but didn't understand how to get involved in it. And then I started hearing about blockchain. And a few years later, after hearing about it, I acquired a position at a blockchain company, but it was focused more on identity and data, because data is it's like the oil of the 21st century. People mine people's data in order to make money, which is why there's been so much controversy over the WhatsApp terms and conditions and our privacy. So I got involved. I worked for this blockchain company and I just loved it. I fell in love with blockchain. And after I left, I knew I wanted to do something. I wanted to stay within the ecosystem. I wanted to lend my voice to this arena, but I'm not a technologist. And I was like, what can I bring to the table? And what I can bring to the table is education, explaining a complicated subject in a way that makes it familiar to the everyday person, showing them how it is relatable to them. And of course, the low-bearing fruit on the blockchain tree, so to speak, is crypto. And for me, blockchain is bringing lots of possibility to many industries. And what crypto does for the individual, it allows them to create wealth. It allows them to be their own bank in a way. But first of all, they need to understand what it is, how it works, how to set up a wallet, how to buy it. And then once you've bought it, how to leverage the asset that you have purchased. So that's how I got into blockchain. And now I run a award-winning platform called Women in Blockchain Talks, which is about promoting the advocacy of blockchain, promoting diversity and inclusion, because the numbers speak for themselves in regards to data, and the gender the gender inequality or gender numbers in regards to how many women are actually working in this arena. And for me, blockchain is for everyone. And so everybody's voices have to be heard. So if there's not enough women then in the ecosystem, then we're just going to have a repeat of what has been rather than what can be. So then the third thing, is education. And the fourth thing is networking. So Women in Blockchain Talks is open to both genders, but the objective is to shine a spotlight on the dynamic women in the ecosystem, creating a business, working in it, leading in it, educating in it. So yeah, that's what I do.
You have had quite an interesting journey in the blockchain space. So can you tell us the blockchain ecosystems that you have interacted with since you started your journey?
Okay, so I don't actually work on any projects per se, but I'm aware of many projects. So when you ask me what blockchain ecosystem have I worked on, what do you mean exactly so that I can answer your question more fluidly?
Like what are the types of blockchain ecosystems that exist that you know of and that you have interacted with? Like the Ethereum blockchain, Cardano. What kind of blockchain ecosystems have you interacted with since you started the journey?
So yes, of course, there's the Ethereum. Most people have interacted with that. There's the TRX, Tron blockchain. I'm very much into blockchain applications. So anything that's using smart contracts intrigues me and interests me. I have worked with, of course, the Bitcoin blockchain. I have worked with there's a Caribbean blockchain that I have interacted with rather than worked on. I'm of Caribbean descent, so and I'm part of the Caribbean Blockchain Alliance. So I'm very much involved with looking at how blockchain is being brought to that part of the world.
All right, thank you very much. So Cedric, can I ask you some questions before we go back to everybody again?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Rosalind. Good morning, Adidayo. Good morning, Lavinia.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure for me to be there this opening day of the Campus Blockchain Hackathon. Every day we have the blockchain. There in French ecosystem, people think that blockchain is just for cryptocurrency or Bitcoin stuffs. So for me to attend this kind of event is an honor for me and great opportunity to show that to other people inside my ecosystem, to make them know that blockchain is not a question of economy or finance things. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Cedric. So what is the blockchain ecosystem like in French countries, particularly the country you live in? What is the blockchain ecosystem like there?
Yes. For those who are listening to us right now, I'm from Cameroon, and you have to know that blockchain ecosystem in French country has been jeopardized with the cryptocurrency, money laundering, and so on. Every day people find a way to steal money from the others with the cryptocurrency exchanges or whatever. So for us blockchain leaders, is very difficult for us to say that to people. Blockchain is not only a question of money, it's not only a question of cryptocurrencies. It's very difficult, but since 1 year we are doing great things. We have some agreement with government services. We had trained some executive government employees, so that actually the government services already have the full understanding about the blockchain ecosystem, so that it is up to all of us now in Cameroon to say that let's see how we build this a global strategy to bring more people in and to bring more students and all the participants in, so that the ecosystem will grow widely.
So you mentioned some challenges that you are facing in the blockchain ecosystem in Cameroon and some other French countries. So do you have other challenges that you're facing, and what are the solutions that you think that could, solve these challenges?
Yes, French ecosystem, in French country, the way technology are driven is a kind of a little bit, someone who knows someone, and you have to talk with him to for him to give you something. So it's a kind of lobbying stuff, but we trying to get this thing off, to get the thing very very clear, because uh, in French country you have public sector, you have private sector, you have private company, and so on. So inside the strategy, the approach that we did and actually using in Cameroon is that we firstly design a strategy. We firstly implement some strategy and operation with the government service. As these parts are already done, we know that we have a full courage from the government to do whatever blockchain tax we want to do inside the country. Now we are targeting private company, so that inside the private company you have financial sector, you have insurance sector, you have the supply chain sector, you have cyber security sector, and so on. So the goal for us is to make them, is to give them the infrastructure and the technical understanding for them to deploy solution and to have a full understanding of blockchain related to the local context inside the country.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. So this is my last question, and I'm throwing it to the house. And so we know that the Africa's financial monetary system is sort of fragmented, and it's difficult to transfer money from one African country to another African country. Do you think that the government of the 54 countries we have in Africa would implement cryptocurrency or the blockchain technology to make it easier to transfer money, even if it's by banks, to transfer naira to Ghanaian cedis or and that kind of a thing? Do you think it would be very easy for the government to adopt such a system? Rosalind, can you please give us an answer?
I'd have to say yes and no. Yes, because it's possible, but it's a long-term shot. And no, because we, first of all, don't have like a uniform policy or standard or common currency to begin with. So maybe with, for instance, the implementation of the Africa Free Trade Agreement in the next possibly 10 years, as people trade, as people interact, and there's such a demand in the first place from all the 54, 55 African nations. It's it's a likelihood in the first place. It's great that this conversation can first of all begin and get going. There's the incidence of also considering, central bank digital currencies, and I've seen probably Rwanda on the forefront or spearheading that. So it's I would really say it's a long shot for now, because getting these countries or these governments to accept blockchain may not be the right approach. Why am I saying that? As I think Lavinia pointed out earlier on, it's that when you consider trade or just being able to share or transact value, it's that we can do it mobile first, or really for a lot of people it's that they're connected on their mobile phones right now. We are looking at blockchain here as a potential of financial inclusion, and trade enabler, and all these things. But when we consider the basics on the ground, a lot of people don't have smart devices, don't have laptops, don't have internet connection. So if these hundreds of millions of people don't have internet connection, how do we expect them to use blockchain-based platforms? So we have to really consider the long game in terms of being able to have such platforms in existence, because I believe that, for instance, even before we get people to adopt blockchain, let's talk about uniformly acceptable or universally recognizable mobile platforms that will allow us to move money. So for instance, for Kenya, and then you will hear a lot about M-Pesa, but when I cross over 2 countries away just to Rwanda, I may not have the same access that I have to M-Pesa. So these are just some of the first rails to have: mobile connection, seamless connection, connectivity in terms of SIM-based services on new SSD platforms. Then the next rail for me I would consider important would be internet connectivity. Just moving from 2G to 3G to 4G for a lot of people will be a huge rail. Then after that, as more people are interacting with mobile economy, money transfer away from banks, that is, and not necessarily to downplay the role of banks. It's just that when you're considering connectivity for hundreds of millions of people who just don't have access to like banking services, then we have to think mobile first. What will be easy for the people in rural areas who will not necessarily go to the city to get these services. So we have to think community first, mobile first, and really build upon that in the years to come.
All right, thank you very much. Lavinia, so what's your opinion on the government in Africa adopting the blockchain ecosystem when it comes to monetary transfer?
Well, I think that there are people who there's always pros and cons. So for a number of people, and I was talking about this the other day, for example, the World Bank, they have donated money to Kenya. And let's take Kenya out of the table and just say a nation in Africa. And apparently, the funds have been misused. And we do know, everybody knows there is a question of misused funds, corruption by government officials. Not all government officials, not all African countries, of course, but there is a strong case, a strong ongoing fact that funds that are sent to help the people have been misused by government officials. And with blockchain and SAP, if this was in place by governments, then there will be a lot more transparency, because that's what blockchain is all about. So in one sense, Africa is the golden child when it comes to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is the biggest case use study for blockchain. So one could argue that Africa is a golden child or golden example of how blockchain can be used for financial inclusion, be it for remittance from people sending funds to each other within Africa and to each other, or from outside of Africa to Africa. So there is an adoption there, but it's about the government actually embracing it and making it a part of their processes, to create transparency and to really utilize the funds to help the people. And I think Rosalind said a great thing. She said, first it has to be about community, then it has to be about connection. Because without the connection, and I'm talking about the technology to connection of using mobile phones, it doesn't matter what good the blockchain can do if people on the ground can't use it. So, of course, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, yes, of course, the governments need to embrace it. But they have to think about, for a number of them, they'll think about what they're losing, because it does have a level of transparency. And so that means there's going to be more light shone on what they're doing. It's also about the cost of implementing the technology. And it's also about regulation, about showing that they have regulations in place to ensure that blockchain, crypto is not being used for bad, so to speak, but for good. So those are my thoughts on that.
Hello, Mrs. Navinya. I'm from Cameroon.
Okay, yes, I heard. So it's always interesting to me to hear what the Francophile and the Anglophile countries are doing. So I hear more about Bitcoin and blockchain from, Nigeria is the biggest nation, the biggest
Yes,
state
yes,
in
yes,
Africa.
indeed.
So I hear a lot about what's happening with Bitcoin, blockchain, but Bitcoin ultimately more from a Nigerian perspective. Kenya are doing a lot of great things, very advanced. But the French side, I don't hear much. And it's important that as a nation, African nation, that all parts are represented in this global innovation, because it is global and it is innovative and it is having an impact.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. In French country, especially in Cameroon, the digital ecosystem there is a little bit more complicated, because at the first time we have some startups who just got trained inside the developers thing, develop application, sell application. But for me, most of our young people there in Cameroon especially, if you have 10 entrepreneurs, you will have 8 entrepreneurs who don't really understand who don't really who can really answer the fundamental and global question about the ecosystem, how things are going on, how's the financial market, how's the global market, and so on. So the goal for us today with blockchain is that we firstly want to remove that blockchain equal Bitcoin, and after this we are going to train company. We are building a program that we bring company to understand business question about blockchain. After this step, we are going forward to train developer for them to understand things very globally, so that for us is to build the complete ecosystem with the business side and the technical side.
So here's a question for you, ladies and gentlemen in Africa, and this is a question to you as well, Adedoya, and Rebecca. We've seen Twitter, the head of the CEO of Twitter.
Hi guys, I'm back. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Okay, apologies. I hear someone saying that Cameroon is not a French country. I don't think I said it was a French country, but stated it was a francophone, meaning that they speak French there. Cameroon is independent from France, so if I did make that assertion, I apologize. But my question is this. We've seen Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, promoting tech in Africa. We've seen Mark Zuckerberg go over to Africa. And so it feels like Africa, and we've got Akon building the Akon village, I believe it is. So my question is, do you think that the diaspora of Africa, the African diaspora, those people who have been living in different parts of the world for centuries, they're born and raised there, will come back to Africa, or not even come back to Africa, but lend their skills and their knowledge in building up Africa to be a tech giant, because it seems to have the potential to become a tech giant?
Okay.
Would anyone like to
thank
answer?
you.
Yeah.
Okay. Rosalind, would you like to go first? All right.
Again, okay, for me, my comment would be a bit brief on that, because I recognize that everything that we realize, especially now in terms of conceptualizing a future that's really powered by blockchain and what's possible, I recognize that we have to be extremely patient and extremely intentional in terms of the infrastructure that we need to create, the education systems and programs we have to have in place, and just sort of synergizing our energies all across the continent and the diaspora, because I feel like, especially let me not say millennials, but for young people, or at least people who are really coming into the space to share their thoughts and dreams or future that they envision with blockchain, it's that you realize it's not a straight line that we're going to build and it's going to scale and sticks, then we're going to become the biggest, the next biggest thing. I don't really think we will do ourselves a justice if that's the path that we expect. We need to be able to handle or be willing to fail in certain areas, be willing to get certain things wrong, because especially when you're dealing with this magnitude of change, it's that we have to play the long game. That's I think one thing I am realizing, or at least coming to see. But that said, then it's that the more we collaborate, the more we are able to come up with tangible outcomes. Whether it's small wins for the community or big wins with government, we need to be able to celebrate these wins and say that this is what we're willing to create. We need to reiterate our vision, seeing that this is the united Africa that we want to build. And even if it doesn't materialize in our time, we will have done our part. It will not be a failure that some things don't take off in a time, because the truth about building, especially a powerful ecosystem and a tech giant, it's that there's history that's gone into it. There's a generational input that's gone into it. So maybe we are the first ones setting some frameworks in some place, and our win might be that we just change certain mindsets, certain perceptions, just as Cedric has highlighted, moving people to understand that Bitcoin isn't equals to blockchain, or blockchain isn't equals to Bitcoin. For some, it's that's quick to get, but for some people, it's that that's their mentality, and we have to be patient with the people that we're bringing on board, because in a conference setup like this, or a webinar setup like this, we can resonate quite easily as early adopters, I would say. But when you're considering the early majority, and just something critical that Lavinia mentioned earlier, it's that you have to translate these words, these concepts and ideas into something that's simple enough for the everyday person to understand. Because if we're looking at the mass market, then we can't present to them technical language that they will not use every day. We need to present services and products that they will use. If it's an app that they will download, if it's a service that they will share, it has to be like 3 simple actions. And bringing these concepts there will take time. So the truth is that we need to be very patient, collaborative, and really keep true to the vision of this united and strong Africa that we want to see on that global stage. Because without undue expectation, then there's much work that we have to do now, and still celebrate, even if we don't see the fullness of it in our time. Yeah.
Very strong and powerful and words there. And I especially the part where you said our win could just be laying that foundation for the next generation. I think that's amazing. What about you, Rebecca?
I see a future for Africa when it comes to the blockchain system. Basically, what I just want for Africa is a system where we can easily transfer money within ourselves, and a future where trade is made easily. And I do think that the blockchain can, help us get there. And with traceability, with transparency, and everything that the blockchain has to offer. So Africa has a lot to gain from the blockchain system. But majorly where our problem lies is with adoption and educating people, getting people first to adopt this technology and then getting them to use it. And once Africa can crack this code, I think the blockchain is going to be widely used in Africa. And for now, like Rosalind said, we are building blocks, and hopefully in the nearest future, other generations coming after us might be able to see the blocks that we have built and how they can build more on it.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Adidoa?
Yeah, fantastic. So, one thing I would just like to add to what the Rosalind and Rebecca have said is I always appreciate a situation where we've identified an issue or probably a problem, and then we provide a solution to that. Uh, I've personally identified, which is the same issue Rosalind and Rebecca also mentioned. Look at Africa generally. We have people of diverse cultures speaking various languages. But if you look at events, I mean, big events such as this that has the tendency of educating people on what the blockchain is, the general language is English. And then you can imagine the population, about 3.4 billion, or probably even much more than that population in Africa. What is the percentage of people that speaks English? We have them on the minimum of that, on the minimum number. So what if you can have events such as this that has several voice outputs where somebody can easily listen to what is being discussed in French, in Swahili, in Kenya, Rwanda, and several other languages that we have. So this will increase the amount of people who knows about blockchain technology. It will increase the amount of people who are so interested in the technology itself. Then, of course, after moving from that stage of educating as much as possible people on the blockchain technology, then we can then move to the deploying of solutions, which is based on what they want. So it's not about creating, looking for customers for the already created solutions, but creating solutions for the customers themselves. So let's look at the indigenous Africans, the indigenous countries. What are the problems they are facing, and look for how to create a solution for them. So what most people are trying to do is bringing in the Western solutions from the US, from the Chinese states, then bringing it to Africa, seeing if it can work. It doesn't work that way. We have our own indigenous problems that we are trying to solve. So let's look at these problems and then provide solutions to them. So from educating as much as possible Africans to deploying solutions for Africans. Then talking about bringing in the Africans in diaspora to the country, well, I believe this is so much possible. One thing that has come out to all investors alike, or probably everybody alike, is FOMO, the fear of missing out. So once they see Africa as a center of attraction, where a lot of tech enthusiasts are coming up, because currently I have a lot of Africans and Nigerians in diaspora basically contacting me, asking me if there are projects they can invest in Africa. They want to invest in Africa. So this is the basic beginning of bringing them back home. So once they see a lot of things going on in Africa here, and they now do a comparison. I mean, we are people of the same colors, okay? So we have the same understanding. And when they now see things that can easily bring them back home, I believe the fear of missing out will bring them, if not totally, but at least they will come back home to see how they can further develop the country. So I believe so much in the technology, and I believe so much that we can achieve most of all this if only we set our minds to it.
Wonderful, wonderful. And finally,
thank you very much, guys. I think we might need to just round up. But I mean, you guys are enjoying the conversation, as you can see. But I think Lavina, can just round up with your question, and we're able to move on to the fire. Thank you.
Okay. Cedric, do you want to chime in to that question, or chime in by answering that question?
Yes. I understand. I clearly understand what Rosalind and the others said is very true. Actually, the blockchain ecosystem in Africa, we have to actually we are building we are building foundation for the next generation. That's all I can say right now, because I joined the blockchain movement later in 2018. I firstly deployed the first French API Ledger ecosystem there, API Ledger Cameroon meetup, and I can assure you by the first meetup that I did, I didn't see 20 people. But I was very, very, very proud of me, of French people, because even though they were 20, it showed me that there are people inside Cameroon who knows that blockchain is very important. Blockchain is not a question of just money, but actually we have to, as Rosalind said, we have to to see, we have to reform our education system, how we see things from the educational side. So in the education side, you have manners, you have the changement, the global changement. So after this, we could say that we could easily talk about blockchain in country, because in term of governance, in term of security, in term of some critical subject that matter to a country. I think the good entry point for blockchain in Africa is the education. We have first of all change the education, the way people are seeing blockchain. We have to revolutionize all the education system, so that people are not just going seeing blockchain as a money, and not as and not as a technical side. So because blockchain is business, is 50% business, 50% technical. So we have to train our next generation so that they will understand blockchain. We have to give the next generation the business culture, the culture of business, the culture of finances, so that they could easily more solve the critical question that target that for some African country. And that we are not going to do that alone. We are African. We have to tie our hand to do that together. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Cedric. Thank you, everyone. I think we have come to the end of this panel session. Thank you, Rosalind, for joining in. Thank you, Adedayo. Thank you, Lavinia. I had an absolutely wonderful time. Thank you, Cedric. We appreciate you coming on board to join us for this panel session. Thank you, and see you in the other sessions. Thank you.
Thank you.